Today, let's talk about the Nvidia RTX 3080 Ti. My friend recently got one, but he actually returned it. Is the light hash rate LHR actually working to get these GPUs in the hands of more gamers? Let's talk about the real reason he returned it. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Remember to subscribe and smash that like button. Alright, so today let's discuss the Nvidia RTX 3080 Ti. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the EVGA 3080 Ti, the For the Win 3 model. Alright, so a little while back, I mentioned that my friend was actually able to get lucky. He got one of these GPUs at MSRP at a local micro center, a local store, and now he definitely has a dual purpose for this GPU. I'll say that right off the bat because it's going to be very interesting and we'll kind of see what's going on in the market. He's going to use it as his gaming rig, but he also plans to use it as a little bit of a mining GPU when he's not using his computer, like at night or when he's at work and things like that. So this is actually, I think, a use case that a lot of people will fall into. I think when people hear of a cryptocurrency miner, they tend to get really angry and imagine rolls and rolls of GPUs being sort of wasted and not sold to gamers. But the reality of the situation, especially since during the last year profitability has been at record highs, a lot of casual gamers have used this opportunity to sort of pay back their expensive investment. And depending on when you actually bought one of these GPUs, it could have been very expensive, and there's a good chance you actually paid way over the MSRP price unless you got lucky and got it a little bit early. So he actually had a really old GPU before. I think it was a 960. So that's a few generations old, and he was playing on sort of a beat up 1080p monitor. So he really desperately needed to upgrade that GPU. And as soon as he saw that the 3080 Ti was actually in stock, MSRP was fairly reasonable, $1399, which isn't far off from the Founders Edition, which should be $1199, and certainly a lot better than having to pay over $2,000 to a scalper or whatever the price may be. So while I view the 3080 Ti as an exceptionally good gaming GPU, especially if you get it as close to MSRP as possible, for his particular dual purpose setup, it actually presented some problems. So this is when we get into the light hash rate and LHR segment of this discussion. Is it working to deter miners, even casual miners? We're not talking about those people with huge, farms and things like that. Is it a deterrent for people who want to use these GPUs to sort of mine on? I think that it actually is. Here are a few reasons why I think the 3080 Ti really is not a good GPU at all for mining. First, with the light hash rate, the LHR moniker, it's going to perform around half what it really should perform in terms of its mining efficiency and its profitability. Now, the power usage is really, really high. It's as high in most cases as a 3090, definitely higher than a 3080, but I think he was getting something in like the 50s with the hash rate, so that's definitely very low. Even a 3080 will get around 96 or something like that. So when he wasn't gaming, and for gaming, this is a great GPU, let's separate these two different distinctions. When he wasn't gaming, for the mining purpose, it actually really sucked. Even if you do those special modifications that they have now where you'll get more of a hash rate, maybe up to 68 to 70%, it still became very unstable. He had a lot of problems sort of with those settings. It would work after a while, and then it would just crash and give him a lot of issues, even if it gave him a little bit more of a hash rate. So the LHR was definitely a big nightmare to sort of really try to get efficient and high profitability in mining for him. So while it was performing great during his gaming, when he was playing whatever game that he was playing, he even upgraded his monitor. Gaming performance definitely very stellar. When he wanted to make a little extra on the side to help pay for the GPU, certainly a lot of frustrations with custom settings and the power draw just way too high for this GPU. It gets extremely hot. Even this, the 3080 Ti, which is the For the Win 3, which has a pretty nice cooler from EVGA, GPU puts out a tremendous amount of heat and it draws a lot of power. So when he's using it for crypto mining and he's getting those considerably reduced hash rates, putting out that much heat as much as a 3090, really isn't that much point to sort of doing that on the side. The profitability, especially when crypto goes down a little bit, certainly is not enough to be worth it. If things were really, really high like they were back in May, perhaps it would make sense to run it even at these lower efficiency numbers. But as it is now, he decided to return it and fork up the extra bucks for a 3090. His view was that, okay, the 3090 and 3080 Ti in terms of gaming performance is virtually indistinguishable. They perform very close across the board, but in some cases, the 3090, of course, will edge out the 3080 Ti, especially considering since it's much more future-proof with its 24 gigabytes of VRAM. 3080 Ti has a paltry 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is only slightly better than the 3080. So that's a tremendous difference. If you want to use a GPU like this to play, high-resolution 4K, Flight Simulator 2020, games like that start to require a lot of VRAM, 3090 is going to give you an immense amount of headroom for the next several years, while we could start to see the 3080, even a 3080 Ti, sort of reach those limits as resolutions get higher and games become more and more demanding. So he knew that gaming performance would be just a few percentage points in terms of a difference from his 3080 Ti, but where it interested him, and he figured he can make up the difference in sort of that price gap, would be in the 3090's sort of more unlimited mining performance. As it is stock, it would get more than twice as much hash rate than the 3080 Ti, which has a limited hash rate. As we know, the 3090 GPUs are unaffected by any type of LHR or light hash rate, and as a bonus, in terms of the power draw, very close to the 3080 Ti, while you're getting a tremendously larger hash rate. Now, of course, all of this sort of banks on crypto staying fairly profitable, at least for the next few months and maybe up to a year, for him to sort of recoup that cost. That is certainly a bit unpredictable. It's hard to say if that's going to happen or not, but I think he's pretty happy with his decision because even though he had to pay more, I think the 3090 was closer to $2,000. So we're talking about maybe like a $600 to $700 difference. At least he can actually use it for his dual purpose. Gaming is a little bit better, like I said, and then mining is considerably better, where he can start to make up that difference fairly quickly. Of course, casual miners always want to have that GPU sort of paying off their very expensive investment, so I don't blame him at all. I actually think it's a pretty good idea, and I think the 3090 is going to serve him considerably better. Now, in terms of future proofing and sort of the value of the GPUs, let's keep in mind, let's say if there is a pretty heavy GPU price crash, let's say if prices come down back to normal within a year or 2 years, whenever it may happen, I think while the 3090 is more expensive and there's more room there for it to depreciate and go down much, much faster, the 3080 Ti is also a fairly expensive GPU, and I think long term, people will most likely, if they have a choice between a 3090 and 3080 Ti, and the price difference isn't that large, they're probably every time going to go for the 3090 on the used market in a couple of years, just because 24 gigabytes of VRAM, especially being the fast GDDR6X VRAM, is going to be around for a considerable amount of time without really being outdated, while the 12 gigabytes of VRAM on the 3080 Ti could quickly become outdated depending how game technology changes. So I think long term, he has a pretty good GPU on his hands that probably will retain its value for the next several years, and not to mention if crypto stays profitable, will definitely net him a considerable amount more of money to pay back that more expensive investment versus the 3080 Ti. Now, let's say if the 3080 Ti was just going to be used specifically for gaming, then it would be obviously a no-brainer to just keep that at $600 or $700 cheaper. You're getting pretty much the same gaming performance as the 3090. In those use cases, for people that have absolutely no interest in actually doing any crypto mining, I think the 3080 Ti makes a lot of sense. And in this case, to sort of answer that question, is LHR working? I really think it is, because if LHR was not in effect in this 3080 Ti, my friend would have kept that GPU to mine on and to play games on, and he's just a small example of what can happen. You would have had other people buying a lot more of these GPUs up, and they would be even more out of stock than other GPUs of similar performance that don't have light hash rate, just because basically it's the second highest performing GPU in terms of gaming and its power, second only to the 3090. So in that sense, I do think the Nvidia LHR has been effective. When you check online and you go in a store, the chances that you'll find a 3080 Ti or perhaps a 3070 Ti, the more new LHR GPUs, certainly it's astronomically higher than finding a regular 3080 or even a regular 3070, not to to mention the 3060 and the 3060 Ti, which are definitely very popular with not only gamers and miners that have found workarounds around their limitations, but because of their lower entry price, even considering their higher secondary price in the used market, they definitely are very, very appealing. While the 3080 Ti, at the end of the day, it's still an extremely expensive GPU. If you look back, previous generation, the 2080 Ti, you would have been paying the same $1,200, and people really viewed that as sort of the ceiling of expensive GPUs. Now, $1,200 barely gets you maybe a 3080 or even a 3070 Ti in some cases when the prices are jumped up too much. So 3080 Ti going for anywhere from $1,400 to $1,800 seems to be the new norm, and of course the 3090 hovering somewhere around that low $2,000 range. So GPU prices have considerably been put on their heads, very, very different than it was in any other generation. People just have to expect to pay these really high prices, and it's not only for the high performing GPUs. 3060s and 3060 Ti's have also been very, very high in price. So this is a reflection of the current market. So many people may come to the same conclusion as my friend and return their 3080 Ti's or not get them at all if they want to do dual purpose mining or just mining, and then or maybe combine it with gaming. So those GPUs will sort of re-enter the circulation, and most likely they are going to go to a gamer, which is really where it should be. Like I said, for gaming, it's a fantastic GPU if you get it close to MSRP. I just definitely wouldn't try it if you want to do it for mining as well. Even with the workarounds, it just draws too much power, puts out too much heat for the lower hash rate compared to a regular 3080 or the 3090. Alright guys, so let me know what you think. Would you have returned your 3080 Ti? He did get a 3090, so it is an upgrade. Would you have paid that extra money just so you can use your GPU not only for gaming but for that crypto mining? Let me know what you think down below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.